Welcome to the Digital Forensics Now podcast. Today is Thursday, June 26th, 2025, and my name is Alexis Brignoni, aka Briggs. And I'm accompanied by my co-host, the Data Queen, the Master Instructor, and the better half of the Digital Forensics podcast, the one and only Heather Charpentier. The music is hired up by Shane Ivers and can be found at silvermansound.com. Yeah. What's up, Heather?
Oh, nothing. It's been a long time since we had a podcast.
Yeah. You've been slacking. I don't know what's going on with
me?
you. It's my fault. It's my fault.
Oh, it's both of us. We've had a lot of stuff going on. So, it's been a few weeks. It might have even been a month.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, like a month. I was gonna say 3 weeks from Techno, but I don't even remember. It feels like it was ages ago.
We didn't end up doing a podcast from Techno though. We were going to, but
I didn't even know what happened. I guess we were partying at the.
It was busy
at the vendor. Oh, sorry, we're working hard.
Yes, working hard. Exactly. Don't say party.
No, we did have the vendor parties were pretty good. We hit them all because, of course, free food and and chit chatting. So it's all good stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of Techno, let's show some pictures from Techno. It was a great time. I had such a good time there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Kevin said that he had too many churros. See, now that he said that, you know what? I'm going to get the churro picture, but start talking about that while I get the churro picture. Go ahead.
Okay. So while we were at Techno, Alex and I actually did a couple of presentations. We did a presentation about the leaps, what they do, how people can use them. And then we did some hands-on labs. Kevin Pagano was also in the room and very helpful for the leaps presentation.
Oh, he was the third instructor there.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
100% third instructor. So it was fantastic to have him.
He just needed to get up and come up front with us, and it would have been perfect.
Yeah, no kidding. Oops.
But so we had a packed room for the leaps hands-on lab. And then the very first night, Celebrate had an 80s party. So we got to dress up in our 80s outfits here.
Getting jiggy with it, 80s style.
So there's me in my lovely 80s outfit. And then Alex in his lovely 80s attire.
No, well, it's not really 80s. It's just zoom in there. So people can bask in the awesomeness of my polo shirt. Can you
yes. Here, let me zoom right in.
Yeah, give me an extreme zoom. Look at that. Really manly unicorns with ice cream and rainbows and cup approved donuts because
oh yeah and you have to notice the watch matches the donuts.
No, absolutely.
But he even went a step further and the shoes match as well.
Yeah, it doesn't go with anything else but whatever.
So the first night when we went out to dinner,
I'm a little angel. What can I tell you?
Yeah, there was no devil background. Otherwise, we would have had you.
We would have you in it. Okay, got it. Next
No
picture,
way.
please. Next picture, please.
We got to hang out with some really cool people from MSAB, Adam Furman, and you can see Bill Aycock in the back there too. He's not with MSAB, but he's hanging out.
Yeah, we're drinking our awesome coffees.
And then, of course, Jessica Hyde from Hexordia. We went and had breakfast with.
We were obviously the conversation that any normal person would be sitting next to would be like, what are these guys talking about? They must be insane. But yeah.
I think somebody commented on that picture, something like that. Like there was a lot of talk about SQLite databases going on at that table or something.
among many other ones. I mean, other data stores. That was just, we were scratching the surface with the SQLite one.
Anna, she teaches with us at IASIS, so we got a picture with Anna. Yeah, she is.
She's awesome. She teaches for Spider Forensics as well.
Yes. And then we did, let me zoom in on this one. We did an AI talk with Adam Furman. So we sat on sort of like just a panel discussion about AI. It was a class at 8:30 in the morning, right? I think 8 or 8:30. It might have been right at 8. And it was a packed room. I was so shocked. I thought we were not going to have anybody show up because, parties the night before. but it was a packed room, and
I think
really good.
I think people expected me to take a dump on AI, and they wanted to hear that, and I did not disappoint, of course. So
You did not. Yeah. So it was, the talk was kind of about, is AI useful or useless? So we went back and forth about that. But
yes, it was like useful what? And it's useful something, and then useless abstraction.
Useless distraction. Yeah.
Useless distraction. Yeah. Useful. Yeah. Something like that. But it was pretty good. Adam is a great kind of moderator / commentator, so it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then we have a picture of Alexis here at the houseboat. So we stayed on the houseboat, which I was so excited about, because last year when I went, I saw everybody on the houseboats, but I was in an Airbnb up the road, so got the houseboat for this year.
And they were like totally awesome. Like you see, there's like a little pier that I'm standing on, and then you will walk in this pier, and then the little houseboats, you can see a little ramp that you walk in, and they're fancy, fantastic. They had like a balcony in the back, and it was great.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what I just realized as we're flipping through these pictures? I don't have any pictures of us with Kevin.
Oh, well, that can be easily solved.
Okay, good.
You just give me literally get to the next one. And then
I got you right there. You're going to want to talk about this one.
Oh, wait, I have to say I was going to look for Kevin's picture. Oh, of course, look at that. It's like a pool shark there. I'm hanging out with some Celebrite folks. I forgot her name. She's going to kill. Well, sorry, I forgot your name right now, but she works for Celebrite there in the back.
Yep.
And yeah, she beat me at pool, but it's okay. It's okay. We don't have to dwell on that.
You look a little bit like a pro, but I was in that room.
I just look like it.
Yeah.
It's just for show, but you didn't have to call me out, on the internet. You could just like leave it there,
I might know somebody named Alexis that calls me out on the internet every podcast as an introduction.
Look. I said nice things. I said nice things about you. You know what? Next episode, get ready.
Oh, Damien says golf pro and pool pro.
Oh, that is true. See, but the golf one, I totally won. Not that the difficulty was kid level, but whatever. But I have one with Kevin and me, so I'll show you that. Well, if I don't know.
I just flew through these anyway. There we go. So the next one, Alexis went and got a nice selfie with my coworker. So you see everybody in that picture works for the state police, the New York State Police.
Yeah, I was like, how could you deal with Heather every day? And they're like, we don't know. It's just we have to. I kid.
Here we go. Robert Pike. If you don't know Robert Pike, he's from North Carolina. He's a contract instructor for Celebrate, and he also teaches at NCFI, and he works for North Carolina.
That's
Lovely picture.
Well, I mean, us always being the serious people that we are, of course. The picture really capture how serious we are about things.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And then, did I miss one again? No, I did not. And then we have you and I getting ready to teach our hands-on lab outside with our sign.
Yeah, it's a point of humble pride to be in the techno sign. So I'm happy about that. It's something that I wanted to do. Go ahead.
You're sharing a bunch of other pictures with me in the background, aren't you?
Yeah, because the churro picture and the Kevin picture, I got them all. So
all right, I'm gonna remove it for a minute and go find them then.
Yeah, Ronan is in the chat. Good to read you, man. We have a great time with him and him.
Hey, Ronan.
Him changing the DJ, not the DJ, but the music on that was playing at the bar. He was just changing it with the thing.
Oh, the flipper.
See, yeah. So that was fun. And then they're like, "Why isn't that changing?" Well, because it's a real person singing now. It's not the thing anymore.
All right, I have our additional pictures. Let me get those up here.
Yeah. Look, everybody, I don't have that many topics today, but I want to see all the pictures. So
I'm getting there. All right. Let's go back to us at our sign. And then we have the churros.
So
the little churro cart.
They said they're going to bring out the churro cart. So I'm thinking somebody's coming with a car and give me a churro. No. They had a cart that they actually put on the table with churros in it. So, wow, that's a literal churro cart.
It was a very cute little cart.
Yeah, no, it had like the chocolate dip and the caramel, and the other one I didn't know what it was, but they were good. The only bad thing about them is that they needed to have some more. They were too few.
There we have a picture of Kevin right out on the deck of the houseboat.
Oh yeah, it was great to hang out there, and the weather the first couple of days was really good in regards to it wasn't hot or nothing.
Right.
Then at the end it got rainy, but it was pretty good the first couple of days. So we could hang out there.
I don't even know when this picture was taken. I think this is the first time I've seen this one.
Well, you're posing.
Well, you just sent it to me.
Yeah, no, we were walking from the I think it was the Suburi party, right?
Yep,
I
the
think.
Samori party. Yep.
Yeah, and then we were going to serious work, going to back this party. We were party hopping the whole week.
So yeah, so techno was a great time. If anybody listening has never been there, I would definitely go to techno. It's going to be back in Myrtle Beach next year instead of Wilmington, North Carolina. So
Yeah, no, looking forward to that. We need to figure out what are we gonna submit a
Yeah.
talk on so we can get in.
Definitely. So let's get into our topics. So I brought this up before, but I wanted to bring it up again because registration is open for the IASIS Reno event. So I'm sure everybody knows about the IASIS event that's held in Orlando every year, but this will be the first year that there's going to be an additional event, and it's being held in Reno, Nevada in January, the week of January 11th. So that whole week, and it's a lot of the specialized classes. The BCFE will not be an option for the first Reno event. But the specialized classes will be there, and you can sign up to come take the advanced mobile class with Alexis and I and the other great instructors.
Yeah. So, and not only can you, I expect you to sign up. It's a good class.
Yeah.
So
we see you all in the chat there. We're waiting for your names to pop into the registration.
No, come on over. I mean, we're gonna have a great time. We really deal with a lot of neat data structures and artifacts and things that you're not gonna find anywhere else. And we get to hang out in the afternoon. So come. Maybe we'll do a show from there if folks want to be in the show. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
But you gotta sign up first. So let's do it.
Yeah. Wanted to highlight a new podcast that's out. So the new podcast is called Parsing the Truth One Bite at a Time. And the hosts of this podcast are former FBI senior forensic examiners Becky Passmore and Stacey Eldridge, who I got to meet, and I know you know both of them.
Oh yeah, I know them from before they retire or left, right? And I can personally vouch for them. They're legit. And the show's been fantastic. I heard I'm kind of catching up to the episodes, but then I saw one that I wanted to hear, so I jumped on that one. So I'm halfway on the expert witness one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I heard the how to get into data forensics podcast. Great hour of information, especially if you're new. And the one about the expert witness, they explain really well the difference between expert witness, fact witness, and some things to really consider when you're doing the type of role. And both of them, they have testified extensively throughout their careers when they were in the bureau. And obviously, at least Stacey's still involved in courts and court work, so she obviously continues to testify. And Becky's now excellent instructor in Arkansas, I think. And they're fantastic, and they're great personalities. So please, I highly recommend you take the time and listen to their or watch. I like watching because they have also like a video. So watch or listen to their podcast. Is gonna be a lot of benefit to yourself as to kind of grow in the understanding of your career. So go check it out. And if you're new, you definitely need to get it and listen to it.
I have them on my list for this weekend. I have not watched an episode yet, but I have it ready to go.
Well, and they're mixing some of like knowledge podcasts with like case studies. For example, they had the first one I listened was the BTK killer, and how they got him based on a floppy disk, and it's pretty interesting. Now they came out with they're coming out with other episodes. I love it. I love that they're so consistent in throwing stuff out or making great content. They want like another case study about some criminal in a bike. So I really like, that's the next one that I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna jump the ones that I have listened to yet to get to that one. So it's a good balance.
Sorry, they're doing weekly, right?
I assume, because there's so many from my perspective, but that's awesome because the content is so good. Like I cannot do that. We cannot do a weekly show. We're not that good.
I don't know if I have time to do a weekly show either.
No, but it's the thing. I mean, they're doing their show based on their own cases or other cases they know about. Plus, kind of knowledge in regards to the field. So it's a great show to listen to. So
yeah,
they're my top of my podcast listen to-do list. So everybody should do as well.
Definitely up next for me. So a couple of company acquisitions that have happened since we last had a show. Celebrite acquired Corellium, and if you don't know what Corellium is, it's a tool that lets you create virtual iPhones, Androids, and other smart devices. So kind of like having a fake phone right on your computer. Acts just like your real device, but you won't need to buy one or plug it in. So what you can do with that, testing apps, look for bugs, explore how the devices work, or even create real life scenarios. So I'm really curious to see what Celebrite does with the purchase of that company, because all of those things are great.
I mean, the first thing I want to say of that is that obviously they spent a pretty penny. I don't know how much, but I can assure you it wasn't $1 million. Like, it was way more than that to get Corellium. And Corellium's been in the news. It was in the news, maybe a year or two ago, because Apple had sued them for kind of virtualizing the iOS operating system, and they were not allowed to do that. And the court said yes, they are allowed, which is a great win in the sense of being able to use these technologies for security research. I think, from my understanding of the company throughout the years, is that their main core product, or I said not product, actually, let me rephrase, competency they have, right, is for researchers, security researchers. You want to make sure that the apps are working properly, that you pen test them properly, that they're safe, etc. Right.
Right.
And that's a big question in regards to what is Celebrite going to do with it in regards to data forensics, because at least the only use case scenario I see for data forensics straight up is saying, okay, I want to analyze an app, right? And the app, now I don't have to spend time doing dumps and have another tool to do the dump, because in the Corellium environment, I can pull the data out. It's like a virtual machine type of setup, right? And I could really go deep. I even wonder if you could take data from one device, right, and maybe put it inside the Corellium virtualization and maybe see how it behaves. Like, I don't know how it's gonna look, but I think that's their main thing. What else will they be able to do with it? I had no idea. Now, my big thing is this: the reason, my opinion, and again, everything we say here has nothing to do with work or our employers. It's all us talking as experts as members of the community, more than experts, members of the community. Corellium is not widely used in data forensics because of the price, right? Yeah. It's extremely expensive, and labs don't have that money. Now, will Celebrite integrate some of that into their insights tooling to kind of allow for that? I don't know. I would like for the product to be more accessible in regards to cost, for those benefits, and maybe they could have a tier system where if you're doing pen testing and different things, it's a price. If you're doing only like data forensic work in regards to app analysis, it's another price, or an addition. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I really hope it's way more accessible, the technology price-wise, than it is currently, because we even looked at it to make some content for the courses for IASIS.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money.
I wasn't sure IASIS was going to purchase that for us. I'm thinking no.
The nonprofit. That's not happening.
Not going to happen.
So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it was a big. So that came out when we were at Techno, right? And it was like the talk of the floor there.
It was
for a day in regards to, first, they spent a lot of money on it, and second, what are they going to do with it in regards to able to recover, get that ROI, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, not too far into the future, how they're going to use it, and hopefully, again, really come up with useful use cases for data forensics in regards to iOS virtualization technology. Yeah.
So the other company acquisition that has recently been in the news is Magnet's acquisition of Dark Circuit Labs. I don't know a ton about Dark Circuit Labs, but I was looking at it prior to coming on the show tonight, and their site says that they provide services such as reverse engineering, vulnerability research, and software development. So what more do you know about them?
Well, I mean, I want to, more than them, I want to comment about, and I said this before, I still think it's relevant. The big differentiator between companies in the digital forensics space, specifically dealing with mobile forensics, It's not so much the parsing. Parsing is important. I want to make sure the tools give me as much as I need. It's not the translation, although I want the tools to translate stuff for me in a sense, at least give me a sense of what they're saying. But we don't get to any of that if we don't have access to the data. Right. So yeah, we need access to the data. We need to make sure that we're able to get the full file system extractions that we need. Because if we have that, if I have to do the analysis by hand, then I do it by hand. But without no data, there's no analysis, no matter what tool you have, right? And I still strongly believe that the company or companies that have a really strong exploit development chain are the ones that are going to continue to be successful in the market, and command the prices that they put out. And this has to be a really strong supply chain, for lack of a better word, because things get patched all the time, right? There's updates and they have to be constantly looking ahead. So acquisitions of outfits that really know how to get to the data are going to be extremely important. And parsing is going to be secondary to extraction and to access and extraction, right? And that's not even adding to the fact that we need to circumvent, obviously lawfully, because we're talking about here in the law enforcement realm or civil realm, where it's based on consent. All this access has to be lawful, right? So lawful access of data when access has, there's a password, a PIN code that's unknown or does not want to be disclosed. So how do we go about that? And that's whatever companies are on it and developing those are going to be the leading ones in this field. The parsing piece will just follow after that.
Right. So looking forward to see what happens with both of those tools being incorporated into tools we already use.
Yeah, no, and really hear the chat here on the screen real quick. Yeah. I mean, long story short, yeah, the tools are expensive, and yeah, there's a lot of R&D that goes into them. Absolutely, and all that has to be balanced with how much the market was able to actually pay for things, right? I believe that there will always be a market for, I say market not because of money, but of users for open source tools. Maybe not so much in the accessing part, because like I mentioned previously, if an access method is disclosed, it will be immediately patched and it will go away. But in other functions, like in the parsing function, right? If we have the data, then we can really balance out some of that cost with open source tooling or scripting. And that's why I'm gonna add you in this. We push for folks to learn some code, right? You will be able to be more productive and validate processes and verify data if you do so. But yeah, I mean, it's expensive. It is what it is. Is it justified? And sometimes I feel that it's not. Sometimes I feel that it is.
Yeah, a lot of work goes into it. So I mean, you have to pay the workers that are putting the work into it. But
look,
yeah,
the only thing I'm gonna say is if the functionality is the same as last year, and the only thing that changed is how you call it, I'm not gonna be happy. So yeah, I expect more than a price raise just because a name change. No, we need substance behind that, and vendors are trying to provide that, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. So a recent article that came out from thinkdfir.com. So it's about cached screenshots on Windows 11. And it's talking about where the screenshots are saved by default. So screenshots taken with the Win-Shift-S key or the snipping tool itself, which is a tool incorporated right into Windows, are saved in the user's Pictures Screenshots folder by default. Saved screenshots have file names that are year, month, day, hours, minutes, second, PNG. And if the autosave is disabled in Snipping Tool, screenshots are instead stored in a temporary cache location under the user's local app data folder. So this article was really meaning to let forensic investigators know where we might find these screenshots that are being autosaved and potentially could be evidence to your case.
And it's really important to know this because I remember back in the day, for intrusion cases or incident response, well, let's image the whole computer and go through it and figure out what happened. Well, that's not the thing anymore. Like there is no we're going to image the whole computer anymore on incident response. We have tooling that targets different artifacts that we care about for whatever purposes. So it's incumbent upon you as the incident responder to make sure that, for example, this new location, is this something that's going to be needed in my investigation? And most likely it should. So now you have to make sure that your tools are not responsive to get that data. Again, why are we not doing full copies of the whole thing? Well, there's so many reasons for that in regards to what the job entails and what we're trying to prove with it. But again, it's up on you, incident responder, to make sure that you know what things you're going to pull from the box that will be helpful in the investigation. And your awareness is key. So that's why this article is so good.
Yeah, one of the good things about it too, about this actual feature, is those cache screenshots that go to the temporary file. They may exist. They're going to exist even if the user never manually saved them. So the user may think, I never saved that. That evidence is gone, and there it is, right there in the temporary folder for you.
That's insane.
Yeah. Always check the screenshot default folder, but don't forget about that snipping temporary folder.
And that applies to folks that are not doing incident response. Us, that we are more in the data forensic side. Yeah, do I want screenshots of the activity of my suspect?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. I would have it. Oh, look, here's the screenshot of the suspect looking for the murder weapon. I'm just kind of making something up.
Yeah.
Well, that might be useful.
Yeah, definitely. So, but check out that article on thinkdeeper.com because it was a really good read, and you'll use it as a reference in the future while you're checking those locations.
Absolutely.
So recently I was chatting with Noel Loudon from the UK. He was telling me about a new app, the Vehicle Network app from Harper Shaw, which is the company he works for. So this app is designed as a secure private platform to support professionals in vehicle system forensics and collision investigation and related fields. So fields related to the vehicle forensics. The app has a ton of different things that might be helpful in your investigations. There's continuing education, I guess like little videos. He does a weekly Friday feature. So it's a video briefing on practical analysis and the emerging trends in these different categories. There's case studies. There's open source resources. There's a whole training hub. And there's also a peer-to-peer community channel. The good thing about this one too is it's only $25 a year, which I thought was great. There's additional training that you can get through that company that is not included in that $25 a year, but the $25 a year will get you in for these resources on the Vehicle Network app.
That's ridiculously cheap. That's like dirt cheap. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do. I mean, I took the Berla courses and all that, but my main thing is not doing cars. But if it were, I would get those $25 out in a heartbeat. And heck, I would pay for the other examiners in my. Yeah, you get a vehicle network app. You get one, and you get one.
I agree. Everybody should sign up for this app, definitely. Yeah. I have also done the Berla course, but I don't really go out and do vehicle forensics much either. But what I find useful in this type of platform is I'm doing reviews of other people's work, and I'm doing reviews of people who have investigated the vehicle forensics with the Berla. And if I'm not keeping up to date, I shouldn't be doing their peer reviews. So this will be helpful. Yeah, this will be very helpful in that. So check it out. I put the website up on the screen, but it'll also be in the show notes at the end to go check out that app.
Yeah, and if you have Noel on your LinkedIn, add him because he puts a lot of great content in regards to vehicle forensics all the time. So you gotta follow him on LinkedIn.
Definitely. Other news: Belkasoft is having their Capture the Flag. So registration is open for their Capture the Flag now, and it begins on July 25th.
And Belkasoft Capture the Flags are really fun in regards to the topics. You know, the type of case you should be looking at when you do this, the Capture the Flags. And Capture the Flags, as a general sense, is always good exercises to be involved with, just to make sure that your skills are sharp and that you know what artifacts mean. So yeah, please go there and sign up. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just grab our next one here. So if you're connected with Brett Shavers on LinkedIn, you've seen that he's doing a series of new posts. So he's doing a 6-part series that is the breakdown of the myth that digital forensics and incident response roles are truly entry level. He's emphasizing real world experience, incorporating how valuable education and training are in the digital forensics and incident response world.
Yeah, and I wanna comment real quick on something he wrote about that, because he had a post on the educational gap, and he makes a point that we talk about DFIR like it's one thing, and he even goes to the history. Harlan Carvey, he came out with the whole DF/IR to say, look, there's digital forensics slash, like, separated incident response. They're related fields, but they're not the same thing, right? But then I think Rob from SANS, I just blanked out his name. Well, Rob Lee.
I was just to say, I just was watching him on TikTok or something. I couldn't remember it.
Yeah, on Twitter, he started using the hashtag DFIR, which kind of makes sense. You cannot put a slash in a hashtag, just to kind of popularize the field, and that really took off. Still to this day, I use that hashtag. But the thing is that it's not Rob's fault, but the thing is that in the consciousness of the field, they're the same thing. And one point that Brett makes is that, for example, universities, colleges, they say, well, we have a DFIR program, and in DFIR cybersecurity, the three things are different. DF, IR, and cybersecurity are three different things. Now, cybersecurity can incorporate some of those, and vice versa, but they're different things. So what we're seeing is a lot of folks go get some degrees in cybersecurity, and then they want to apply for at a RCFL lab. I'm making this up, right? A forensics lab, and they don't have the skills. They were not taught the DF side sometimes at all. They give them a lot of IR or a lot of not technical. The opposite of technical would be, kind of like procedural cybersecurity. Frameworks, and that's great. That's needed. But that doesn't qualify you to go and extract data from a phone and do an analysis. And like he said in the article, if you don't know what a hash is, what do you spend your money on? Right. Those 4 years of college, right? So I really recommend that. It's really percolating in my conscience, and I need to start separating the DF from the IR more. I knew it already, but separate it more in my when I speak to folks, and make sure I'm more specific. Because if we're more specific in our language, then that would translate more specificity in other fields, like at court or degrees that are being generated. There's a lot of good folks like Jason Jordan. He's from South Africa, and he's doing his doctoral work just on this problem in regards to how can we solve this educational issue. How can we identify the proper things to be taught at this level for DF and IR, and how different they are. So that's pretty important. And all the articles in the series, and they're great. I haven't read them all, but they're fantastic, and I highly recommend everybody to go through them.
Yeah, they are excellent. I agree with so many of Brett's points, but it just makes me think about when I went to college too for computer forensics. My degree was cybersecurity, but it was concentration in computer forensics, and I went to get my master's and got into the master's program with zero computer knowledge whatsoever. Like, I was the type of person where I turned the computer on how. So making sure the student is ready for that type of program is another thing that I would just add to some of Brett's articles, because I was not ready for that. I took the steps that I needed to take to catch myself up, and I mean, I was doing this stuff all outside of school, and then when I got to the state police and started getting those trainings, I really jumped in and learned everything that I know now. But it was really hard to do a degree when I had no background in computers whatsoever.
Well, and even you coming into your workplace, having to catch up to the other examiners, because what you were expecting to have coming out of college was not one-to-one what's needed, right?
No way.
And actually, Brett gives a good advice for people. Sometimes it might be better, and I agree with his advice. Get a computer science degree, and then get a minor or a specialty in justice, like in excuse me, in in classes that relate to the criminal justice system, like criminal justice minor, even a minor or some course is gonna, so you understand what the interplay between the computer science with the computers, the digital stuff, and the law and the course occur, right? And have that, and that might be even better than getting a cybersecurity degree itself. And I really took to that advice because my degree is in computer science.
Okay.
So I'm a and again, I'm a living product of that advice, but not because I didn't want to take a cybersecurity degree. It's because they didn't exist
Right.
20 years ago when I started doing this job. But it might still be worthwhile to get that computer science degree and maybe make it stronger with some law stuff, right?
That's what I was missing. So my bachelor's was in criminal justice. So I did the criminal justice part. And then I went from that right into a master's for cybersecurity and computer forensics. So I was missing that computer science component, definitely.
And that's tough. I did my master's in information management of information systems, and that's a management like a MBA degree, right? Business administration.
Yeah. Yep.
And the folks that come in just from straight business administration with no computers, so we're struggling. So in that sense, right? So having that baseline is so important. Yeah. And really be a good consumer. If you're a person that's coming into the field, you gotta be a good consumer. You have to make your research. You can't just if the provider, be it a university, a college, a certification vendor, whoever it is, look at curriculums, look at what they're teaching. Yes. Make sure that it maps knowledge base with what you're trying to get at, what your destination is. If you want to work at a lab for law enforcement, you gotta make sure that you understand what the work that's being done, and if this degree speaks to that.
Yes.
Just blindly going, you might come out 4 years later with debt, and then not be ready for the job.
Debt, yep.
Yeah, because it's not cheap to get a degree. It's not cheap. You know?
No, not at all. There's some comments in the comments. So one comment is saying that a lot of classes are out of date too. Yeah, I agree 100%. So the college classes, I think a lot of them are behind. Just some experience with it. When I was taking classes, the material wasn't up to date. I didn't even have a mobile forensics class at all. We didn't ever even talk about cell phones. And then I got to my job and it was like 90% mobile forensics. So I definitely wasn't prepared for that. And then one of the other comments, same person says that they still have us learning with things like autopsy and NCASE. Yeah, it's not with the most up-to-date tools, and it's not with the tools that you are particularly going to use at that job that you go get.
And look, I'll look. If you give me autopsy and NCASE,
yep.
I'm okay with it. If the person teaching the class, you know what I mean, delivers on the goods, right? Because at the end of the day, I want to go to a degree and not to learn so much about tools, but to learn about the underlying things that the tools are getting at.
Yes.
And what I've seen, for folks that have told me, is that the professor that's trying to teach that forensic course has never done an EO1 in their life. Never. They've never done. If I give them FTK imager, they didn't even know where to go to make one. Right. They haven't even made an extraction in their lives. But they're part of the staff, and you have to teach this class, read something, and go at it. Yep. And again, we have to be better consumers. There's some great programs that have a great reputation. You have to really look into those and lean into those if you want to get a degree for digital forensics.
So Jessica's chiming in too. She teaches at one of the colleges, and not all are behind. Some of us update regularly, and that is right. And that really plays into what Alexis just said. You need to be checking out the curriculum and seeing who those teachers are. Research the teachers for sure. All right. Make sure you're going somewhere that has people who have real life experience, and make sure it's a curriculum that's going to fit with what you want to do.
Absolutely. 100%. If you're going to spend $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 on a degree, you got to do some due diligence, my friend. And I know you might be 19, even 20 years old, but it's your future at stake here. So you have to make that, take that effort, make that time. And I said that because people coming out of high school, but at any age, even if you're switching careers and you're a middle-aged man like myself, you need to do that research. You can't just jump blindly. You have to make sure you're getting the information that you need to make right choices.
Yes, definitely. Let's see here. So that brings us to we're gonna do an artifact of the week. You got a comment?
We're gonna comment. Yeah. So Shane's mentioning that some organizations want feedback on their programs, right, from practitioners. One thing they could do is have advisory boards. Like that's a thing, right? And sometimes advisory boards in some of these institutions, it's just to say they have one, but a good advisory board, and that applies not only to colleges, all sorts of organizations. Bring people from different fields that you're interested in, and really query them on what's needed. What does the market require of our students in order for us to provide it? And being part of an advisory board, make sure you make that approach and make it an illustrious position, right? Make sure that the folks that are part of that board are recognized. So you have that motivation for people that are of importance in the field, really give you the information that you need for your students. So make sure does it make sense, Heather? Like It has to be something that's recognizable, that the person being part of it feels honored to be part of this advisory board, but also that whatever advice the advisory board gives, the institution follows up on to provide that service to their students. So advisory boards are so important. And a lot of institutions, I don't see any or too little of that. So,
no, I definitely agree with that, and it could fix so many problems.
Absolutely.
So, artifact of the week. So I'm having fun showing like different research I've done or different artifacts that have been located. This isn't a new artifact. I actually think we may have talked about it on a previous podcast, because Josh Hickman actually wrote a blog about it about a year ago now. And I'll put the link to that in the show notes. But in December of 2023, Google rebranded their location history as Timeline and moved all of the data storage on device rather than on their servers. So the default retention was reduced from 18 months to 3 months. And the Timeline data resides under data com.google.android.gms, not inside the Google Maps directory. There's locations, and I actually have a slide to put up here. So there we go. There are locations found in level DB files. So it stores GPS like latitude, longitude, timestamps, the horizontal accuracy, and it's all stored in these level DB files. I have a little screenshot on the screen here, and if you're listening and not watching, they're under app semantic location raw signal DB, and it's a whole bunch of level DB files.
And let me say something quickly about level DBs.
Yeah,
those are the thing lately, right? I was reading an article by CCL Group about level DBs, because apps now, they look like apps, they behave like apps in both computers and phones, but they're actually browsers. They just skin browsers to look like apps. And the quote unquote permanent storage, I say quote unquote, because a lot of that stuff just then migrates to the cloud. But while it's sitting on your device, it's gonna be sitting on a level DB. If it's a browser, it's most likely gonna be sitting on a level DB for some of these apps that behave like apps, but they're actually skin browsers. So if you're not up to speed on what level DB is, and we said it, both of us said it in other episodes, we need to get on it. Like Heather is showing here, all this stuff is in level DBs. You need to understand how the format works. By the way, if you come out with us to Reno, to the class in January, we'll teach you all about level DBs, to the point that level DBs are not be popping out of your ears, right? But you need to get up to speed on this. This is a data store that some folks don't even know exists, and they think SQLite is great. There's a lot of it, but level DBs, you'll be surprised of the level of importance this humble, key value pair database has in all sorts of cases.
Absolutely. And I'll say too, the tools haven't really caught up with parsing the level DBs. They're starting to, like this artifact that I'm going to talk about now. I used Celebrite for, and they parse this location history. But where they're starting to improve is those level DB viewers, so you can go in and validate it yourself. The parse data is great, but I need to see it. And just going into a level DB file, it's not super easy to figure everything out that you need for your testing. So hopefully all of the tools will follow suit and start supporting these level DBs and provide a great viewer for them.
I mean, what about the level DB that's not parsed? Like if you also have a view, what about the level DB that's not parts, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't have a good viewer there, it's like it's not even there, right? So
right.
Yeah, I agree with you. That support needs to really better support for level DBs is needed across almost all tools.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Jessica said she likes Mushy as a level DB viewer. Me too. It's great, and I also really like Rabbit Hole for a level DB viewer, and also Arsenal's level DB tool.
Yeah, so Mushy is done by Ian Whiffen, a great friend of the podcast, a personal friend. We had a great time in Techno, and we had a great time too. It's free; you can get that for free. Rabbit Hole you have to pay, but I feel it's a decent price, and does a lot of things, not only level DBs, but does a whole bunch of stuff. And Arsenal also part of their suite that you can buy, but Arsenal also is really well known for their tooling. So, and actually we teach all those tools in our class as well. So highly recommend it.
Yes.
But yeah, but those last two need to be paid. Mushy is free to use.
Right. So Celebrite is parsing these for me. I found them in one of my cases. This is not my case data on the screen, but I found them in one of my cases, and I decided I want to check out how accurate these are, right? Because locations, that's always the problem. Are they accurate? Was the device really there? What's the deal with these locations? Josh wrote an amazing article where he tests it on multiple different Android devices. But with all artifacts, you should test it yourself too, if you have a chance. So to verify the accuracy of these locations, I went and took a trip. Let me share my screen with you. So I took a trip on Easter from my house to my parents' house, and I parsed my extraction after I got back and took a look at these locations in Celebrite. Once I took a look at them in Celebrite, I decided, all right, I want to export all of the relevant data, which the relevant data to me was the date and time, the latitude, longitude, that horizontal accuracy. So I exported all of that out into a CSV, sorry, and brought it into Google Earth so I could take a look at it. So if you look at it from pretty far away here, it looks like the exact path that I take from my house up to my parents' house on Easter Day. So if we go, this was like, I was sleeping at this time. This was like 12 a.m. It'll bring you right to my house. All of these locations for the wee early mornings here.
I love the zoom in effect, and it never gets old.
We're at my house. So about 8:30 a.m. I'm still home, but I decide to leave the house a few minutes later, or a little while later, I think like an hour later. And at 9:48, I arrive at Starbucks. So let me get to 9:48 here to get my coffee for the ride up to my parents' house.
That's like the most American thing anybody can do.
We'll take a little trip over here, and I'm going to zoom in for everybody. But the Starbucks building is right there. And the points that these locations drop are actually me coming around the building, going through the drive-thru. So you can see there's a few points here. There's a point here and a point here. This one right here that I'm on is actually right in the drive-thru. I'm probably grabbing my coffee at that moment. I got a lemon loaf because I went and got an energy drink next door for my drink. So at 9:52, I go over next door here, sort of next door, up the road a little bit, to Unstoppable Nutrition, and I get one of those energizing teas because they have way more caffeine than, than the Starbucks coffee.
You need the leaded stuff.
Well, I was going to my parents' house for Easter, so if you can see this screenshot, I'm gonna zoom way in. Let's see here. So if you look right here, there's like a little bush right here. Right next to that bush is where I walk in to grab my energizing tea. And you can see the points where the GPS has my device are right here. That literally is the parking spot that I was parked in. The parking spot right here in front of this bush. So that's how accurate these locations were at this time for my device. I then head up to my parents'. I'm going to just scroll up to when I'm about to my parents' house. It's a pretty long trip, like an hour and 45 minutes. So we're not
right before you rob the bank.
Yeah, right before. Oh, shush! Don't be telling my secrets.
No, but
So,
can you know how awesome this is in a case like that? Yeah, here's the here's the getaway vehicle after when they robbed the bank. After
oh
they
yeah,
left.
definitely, definitely. So now we're gonna take a little zooming trip, and we're gonna cruise up the Northway. And at this point right here, I am almost to my parents' house. And when I put all of the data from the Celebrate extraction into like a timeline, when I'm right here at this point, I actually text my sister that I'm there. I'm not actually there yet, but I want to make sure she's there too when I get there. So at 11:27, there's actually a text message right at that same time, and I am just down the road from my parents' house.
It's like you're like, are you heading this way? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be there in a minute, and you're still in the shower.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
I'm on my way.
Yep.
It's still getting dressed.
About a minute later, I'm at my parents' house. I'm gonna zoom in on my parents' house here. Oops. So I am at my parents' house. I stay at my parents' house for the rest of the day. I leave there a little bit after 6 o'clock. So I'm gonna just scroll up to 6 o'clock here. I'm gonna grab 6:13. Let's see what I had. 6:13:15 looks like a good one, where I start traveling away from my parents' house and I'm headed back home. At 7:21, I'm quite a ways into my trip there. Let me find my 7:21 for you.
So we'll be in voyeurs here of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
That's amazing.
Well, the accuracy thing's coming up, so I have to do my trip home. Yeah. So at 7:21, you see me pull off of exit 11. So this is where I'm pulling off of exit 11. Right over here is where I pull off. And I actually pull into a Dunkin' Donuts because it is raining so hard that I can't even see to drive.
It was not to eat a donut, though, by any means.
It was not. I didn't even go in.
I
didn't even go in.
I don't know that location that is really close to the store. I don't know.
No, so that's where this is awesome. That's where these locations are awesome. I pulled in and I parked way out front of the store and just sat there. This is literally the exact spot I was parked when I pulled in, and I only stayed for a few minutes and decided, I'm going to try and drive. It'll be okay. So I stay for a couple minutes, and at 7:35:10, let's see here, I get back onto the Northway, but then it is pouring so hard I have to get back off of the Northway. I get off exit 8, pull into a Stewart shop. So these ones are awesome.
What shop again? What shop you stop?
Stewart's. It's a local gas station. You don't have Stewart's, do you?
No, we have Wawas.
Okay, so I have Stewart's.
Do you have Wawas?
No.
You're missing out. Go ahead.
So this is the Stewart shop right here, and you can see all of these points. I sat there for quite a while. It was downpouring for a while. There was thunder, lightning, everything else. But the best part of this is, let me scroll in a little bit. There were so many cars pulled off this exit because of the rain that none of these parking spots were open. So I parked right here where it wasn't a parking spot. So I was parked right there after the last parking spot, and that's where the device logged me the entire time that I was sitting there.
Okay, you parking on illegally parking. That's awesome.
I was illegally parking. I eventually get back out onto the road, I think at like 8:02. I sat there for a while. So let me grab 8:02. I went the wrong way. I'm not going to bore you with that. And I get back on the Northway and I arrive back home at about 8:32, I think. Yeah, 8:32. So let me go there. And we'll go to 8:34 because I should be home then. So all the way back to my house. So these are very accurate locations, right?
Love it.
Super, super accurate. Are they always accurate is the question. So as I'm looking through these, I looked through all of these. There were tons. I'm looking through them. So I'm looking at the horizontal accuracy. And there are some locations that have a very large horizontal accuracy. So what does that mean? They're not as accurate as the other locations. So I actually pulled those out of my location so I can just show these. So during the day, I said I was at my parents' house all the entire day for Easter. I never left the house. But while I was at my parents' house, this test device was out in the driveway in my car. And while I was at the house, there were locations logging me in the village of Whitehall. That's where I'm from. But they're logging me in the village of Whitehall out in the woods. And then they're logging me in the village of Whitehall over here in the woods at the water tower. And then in various other places in the village of Whitehall.
I think you're creating. You're saying like, with that body that was found there in the water tower, it had nothing to do with me. I was an alibi time at my mom's house. It's not always accurate. I don't know. I think it's accurate. I think you were hiding the body there.
So these are pretty high horizontal accuracies. So I definitely never left my parents' house. I swear I'm not lying. But if you were looking at this in a case and maybe you didn't look right at the horizontal accuracy, the suspect left the house and went and buried the body in the woods. Immediately, that's what I'd think. I mean, I'd test it and find out that I'm greatly wrong. But it looks like I left my parents' house during the day and I was potentially hanging out in the woods for some reason, right?
Yeah, no, but you made the point, because if the horizontal accuracy is so large, right? Yeah. Instead of maybe using so many resources, well, we need to scan the woods with dogs. Maybe we need to. But if it's like really an outlier with us, then maybe we can slow down and understand the limitation of the data source, which is what you're showing us, which is so important. It's accurate, except when it isn't. Right. And at least we have now an indicator, right? And the big key here is look at horizontal accuracy, and then make the determinations considering all the data points around it. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's like an outlier. You don't see any points going from there to there, right?
No. So there were 29 of them in, I don't know, thousands and thousands and thousands for this period of time. There were 29 of them that just didn't make sense and had that huge horizontal accuracy. All 29 of them were while the phone was sitting in my car in my parents' driveway throughout the day. And actually, Jessica asked a great question. So how accurate is the horizontal accuracy numbers? I tested a couple of them. Some of them appeared to be around 2 miles from where I was at. And the actual location where I was at was a little bit over 2 miles, a couple of them. So a couple of them were just slightly outside of the horizontal accuracy, but several of them were most of them were right inside the horizontal accuracy. But I definitely didn't leave my house.
Well, and again, that speaks to you have to look at data not as just a point, but what the collection of points tells you, and use your brain, right? You got to make sure you understand that if I have these points and I don't have any points in between, plus your horizontal accuracy is high, then this might be outliers that don't really mean anything to my investigation. And, we might need to verify that, and that's appropriate. But then we don't set everybody's hair on fire when we should be maybe devoting resources to actual things that could be leads that could be followed up on.
Well, I think you were making the point a minute ago too. So these, I'll give in context the path that you saw me take up to my parents' house. Those horizontal accuracies were like 4 meters, 3 meters, 5 meters, 6 meters. These 29 points have more like 2,200 meters or 3,500 meters.
Big difference.
So yeah. And the good thing about these 29 points, I have other points right almost at the exact same time that have me at my parents' house. So you can use that horizontal accuracy to determine, okay, this one is within 4 meters and this one's within 2,200 meters. Where was I actually at?
Yeah, and that's knowing the artifact, because the bias sometimes comes in. I want that person to bury that. I want to find the body somewhere. And we can't let the bias influence us. We need to actually look at the data source and let the data source speaks to us what the truth is. We can't just interject it just because I want to find the body and I have data points in the woods. Therefore, right? We got to be really careful with that.
You watch. Somebody's going to find the evidence at the water tower in Whitehall, and they're going to have seen the podcast and come and arrest me now.
So
I'm incriminating myself.
No, you're creating your alibi. You're so smart. I said it wasn't me, and
yeah, exactly.
It was you. I know it was you. Oh my goodness.
So these locations are great.
They're awesome. They're great.
We're always talking about the iOS cache locations that are so amazing on the iOS, and I think there really wasn't a great I guess, equivalent on the Android devices until I saw these. I think these are just as good as those iOS locations. As you know, the iOS locations once in a while will also have the outliers with the large horizontal accuracy. So I would compare these in Android to those iOS cache locations on, I guess, reliability and usefulness in your cases.
That's great. That's great that we can find those data sources. So, no, thank you for explaining it. I enjoyed following you around.
Check out Josh's blog too, because he did it with numerous devices. He used a Pixel, he used a Samsung, and shows the differences. But he also breaks down some of the level DB data in, I think he was using Mushy in his blog. So he breaks down the data, where he's finding it, how you can actually go into these files and validate the data that you're seeing yourself as well.
Go check it out, my good friends. It's good stuff.
Definitely. All right. So we are, I believe, at the meme of the week. We are at the end of the show. So let me pop that up here.
Yeah, I love the meme of the week. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I said I love the meme of the week. It's always fun.
Definitely. I have to stop sharing the other screen is what it's telling me. I will never figure out this screen sharing stuff.
Well, and whenever we start figuring it out, they change it.
Yeah. Oh, they did. They changed it. And I think my stuff was missing, right? The one I'm showing all these screenshots, the one podcast, and everybody's in the comments saying, "Oh, we can't see your screen." So. So meme of the week. Go ahead. This one's all you.
So we have, I forgot the name of the actor, but he's a great actor. A lot of movies. Lately he was been in The Mandalorian. He's Moff Gideon. That's the character, but I forgot his real name. Well, the thing is that he's a great actor, really serious actor. Has a suit on, kind of playing with his tie, making it tight, and it says, "You use tools to see what they can find. I use tools to see what they can't find. We are not the same," right? And the point of the meme is like the template speaks about a contrast between things that sound really alike, but that little detail makes it extreme difference, right? And the point is not to say that, this person is better because of that. The point is to make the illustration that tool limitations are just as important as tool capabilities. Right. Because if you go by what the tool can find, that's great. But if you're not aware of what is missing, what it's not designed to do, then you'll be doing a disservice to your stakeholders, to your case, right? A simple example, if you run your AI on your tool to give you the chats, that's great. Is the AI aware of this other app that's not parsed by the tool to give you the content of those chats? Well, if you're not aware that the AI cannot get into unstructured data, I say unstructured in the sense of, let me not say unstructured. The AI cannot get into unparsed data by the tool, then you assume that this is all there is, right? So you gotta be really aware of what the tool, what the AI, whatever that you're gonna use. And again, everybody knows what we think about AI right now, at least at this stage. I'd rather not use it at all. But you gotta be aware of those limitations, right? And so I think we should change our mindset instead of being, well, I'm gonna run the tool and see what I can find. No, we know the tool will find stuff. Our job really as examiners starts to figure out the stuff that the tool doesn't show, because I will give to my investigator what the tool shows, and they will go through it. They don't need to have a degree of no sorts to just read chats or do whatever. But to get to what the tool doesn't show, that's the gap between the knowledge and the data that we need to fill, right? And I think we should be really conscious of our role within that context.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Well,
I think that brings us to the end.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was I thought it was going to be a short show, but it never is.
No, it never is. So yeah, we were talking about that before the show. I'm like, I don't have that many topics. We can make it short, maybe a half an hour. We've said that like 5 or 6 podcasts. And I think a couple of them have gone to like an hour and 20 minutes. So it's never, we always have enough to talk about.
Well, and it's always fun to talk about things with you. So I appreciate you always being around and giving me all your insights. So
listen, I couldn't think of a better podcast partner.
Oh, look at that. Look at all the love, all the good vibes in the show. All right. And also I couldn't think of a better folks, a community that's built around the podcast and around the work that we do for the community. So I think everyone that's been on the podcast has been chatting, that everybody can be seeing their messages on the screen. It was great always having you, really smart group of people. Jesh, Ronan, Bruno, Matthew, Kevin, everybody. So thank you for being around.
Yeah,
so anything else for the order, Heather, before we head out?
That's it. Until next time.
All right, my good folks. We'll let you know when the next show is, when we know when the next show is.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everybody, take care.
Thank you.
And with the music, we say goodbye.